What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Muscle, and this is another Two Line Music Hut's Entertainment Report podcast. And today we have a super special guest in the building. Listen, this guest comes all the way from India. He's a lead singer of a group called the Soul Vengers. Listen, he's a sound man. He's a selector for Bass Foundation Roots. You know who we have in the building today? We have Delhi Sultanate in the building today. What's going on, big boss?
Respect, Muscle. Greetings from India to the world. Good to be here.
Yeah. Crazy. Listen, when Wall Street announced that he has a sound coming from India, that piqued my interest 1000%. It's like I wanted to know what is really going on over in India. You know what I mean?
A lot of people seem surprised. I was looking at the comments. Folks are like, India has sound system.
Yeah,
and do they speak English? And those kind of things.
Yep. And that's exactly what it was there. So, wow. Let's go back into the foundation of things here. When did you actually discover reggae music, and when did you fall in love with reggae music?
I mean, look, discovering and falling in love happened pretty much at the same time.
Yeah.
My mom is an academic. She was teaching Hindi, and she was stationed in Europe.
Okay.
When I was a kid, we're talking like 95, all right? And there was already a reggae subculture there. All the kids had sound systems. And it's the first time I discovered this music. I used to listen to hip hop before. And then this was before Sizzla. This was like Buju, Terry Ganzi, Buccaneer, Garnetsik. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It just spoke to me. And then Sizzla came along. And I mean, it started very quickly. We saw all the kids doing it. So we were like, okay, let's get 4 or 5 of us together, pool all our money, start buying records.
Yeah.
And there was a youth center where I was living that gave kids an opportunity they had 2 turntables in the basement and you could organize your parties. Okay. So they said, okay, you can come every Thursday and practice. So, we started with 5, 10, 15 records each, but then you have 4 or 5 people, so you pool them. Yeah. So after a while, you can start playing out. We're very young. I'm talking about like 15 years old, So started then making little flyers and posters and organizing little parties. So ever since then,
It's been from there. Wow. And what year did you say this was?
From 95 onwards.
95 onwards. Wow, that's big there. And the biggest question I got for you is, where did you actually get these reggae records at that time?
All right. So good question.
Yeah.
So there was 2 options. There was one mail order in Hamburg. What were they called? Was it Irie Records, Irie FM? I forget, but they were the only one. And you had this little mail order thing that got printed, this catalog that was like hot, like people tried to get their hands on it. And then the minute you get it, you tick the things which sound interesting. You can't listen to them before. And you call and you're like, oh, you still have the Yummy Bolo, you still have this track on Exterminator. And a lot of the times they would get snatched up really quickly because, only so many records came out of Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then you get what you get. It comes in the mail and you're like, oh man, and some tunes are banging and some tune, maybe some tune you heard before on a sound tape somewhere, So that, and then sometimes once or twice, save up money, go to London and, go to Dub Vendor and Bricks. I mean, we're talking like when I was 16, 17, a kid, there's a lot of things happened in between, then moved back to India 20 years ago with a bunch of records, but not really thinking like I can play this music here and people will understand it and get it,
Okay. That's cool. And you mentioned that you were actually listening to sound tapes. What sound tapes were you listening to back then? And where did you even get these sound tapes from?
Man, even I don't understand how we got these sound tapes. I mean, we're talking about like some small places in Europe and somewhere someone has a Addies versus Kilimanjaro tape with only the Addies part on it. And it's already been copied like 50 times or something, but somehow you get it. And then every now and then you pick up like a one tape, like someone has a Stone Love tape, someone has a this tape. And I don't know, I feel like, when you had to hunt for the thing, rather than everything just being there, it kind of made it like, as a kid, you're just so hungry for it.
1000% agree. It's the best was when I had a tape and my friend had a tape too. We've never heard and we exchanged the tapes. So then now, instead of one tape, we now have 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, those days were amazing. And which sound did you really like back then also?
I love 3 songs. Like I loved Kilimanjaro because they're just raw. I used to love King Addies. I mean, just from that one tape, really, like I
Yeah.
used to love Addies. Plus, when they dropped like, I mean, the thing is like Police and Helicopter. It's the 45. When that plays in the Clash, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
wow. And then he dropped the Tony Braxton, and
Yes.
I don't know, it was just, man, since then. And then, okay, I love Stone Love also. Stone Love was like this polished sound, and if you listen to Stone Love, and I mean, these tapes were hard to get by, but you'll always hear some new tunes that will come out long time after, and that was exciting,
Yeah. Yeah, no, you understand. And even just speaking to you for this last little 5 minutes here, I could tell you have a real in-depth understanding of the sound system culture. You understand just to the way how you said Jaro presented yourself, Stone Love presented yourself. You say, okay, you clearly know that there's a big difference between the two of them. Because a lot of people, when they first get into sound system business, to them it's all the same, and clearly it's not.
Of course. I mean, look, fact is, a lot of people deal with reggae music in a very shallow way,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Wow. There. Okay. So then, when did you decide to build your sound now? The big bad red sound bass foundation roots.
Well, I tell you what, like about 10 years ago, I was doing different things. Like I was studying history, I was studying martial arts seriously, and I love reggae music, but it was like kind of like a private thing,
Okay.
And then I got an opportunity. There were people playing drum and bass music a little bit, and I was an MC always, so I got at least something that I can connect to a little bit that's related to reggae a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we started like a drum and bass sound system, and I still had all these reggae records. At that time in India, there was no drum and bass and dubstep, nothing. It was like, just commercial music by and large, really, like mostly commercial music.
Yeah.
So we started this. They started playing these reggae drum and bass tunes, and I was like, I have the record that this is sampled from. So then we would pull it up and play the sample, and I was just grateful that, that much is happening. And then after that, around the same time, two other projects I started. One was a live band called the Scavengers, and we were lucky because we had really, really good musicians. Like the band is called Scavengers, and that gave me a creative outlet. It was proper reggae based, and people also, because it was a live band, 7-8 people, horn section, like that connected. People were loving it and responding to it, so that also opened doors. And then Reggae Rajas, another sound system, started around the same time 10 years ago, and slowly just went more and more into playing reggae. So then we would do stage shows where me and my wife, she's a singer, she's the other lead singer of the Scavengers. So we would do stage shows and then do stage shows sometimes with a DJ where you play rhythm and then play a few tunes before and after, maybe like that's how it started. And do a lot of club shows, like constantly touring, doing club shows. And then at some point, I thought to myself, like, you can do club shows forever, and then it's just another club show, like Monday night techno, then hip hop, then maybe a reggae night on Friday, and the reggae is not getting the respect that it needs. But that's because it doesn't have the cultural context that's required to really show its full power and potency.
Understandable.
So we just realized, like, we need a sound system because this thing needs to live in a completely different space. Like we all know, I was just saying this in an earlier interview. We all know what it feels like when you're in a sound system session and the sound is crisp and the people is not just selecting music, they know the craft, and you're there and it just hits your body and you're like, there's nothing else that makes you feel this way. It just creates a sense of well-being in your body, And if you don't have this, you need a whole context around reggae music. This thing is deep. It's not like a thing where you just press play,
Yeah, and you understand it.
So I just realized, like, what? I can play in clubs for the next 10 years. But you build a sound system and it has power. It lives on its own. You build a whole ecosystem around the sound system for people to come, community, there's food, there's art. It's like so I don't know, it just needs that. If you think how it started in the UK, in other places, it's always been like, has a purpose in the community, and that's why it grows, It's like,
for sure.
I don't know. So it was more like a lifeline bus, like just frustrated being in the music industry and be like, what does this have to offer? Is this really the most healthy place? You know what I'm saying? For culture?
For sure. Understandable. And then I guess that's what, out of the need, you say, okay, we need to actually build a sound system so it has its own place to exist. Understandable. So then now, what was the sound system culture like in India at that time there when you decided, hey, let me go build this sound system here?
Because there is no sound system culture. I mean, like, we're building reggae music and starting it. And many times, I mean, look, I take the sound on the road and go to faraway places. And sometimes the first time you go, they're hearing reggae music perhaps for the first time, you know? That's a huge responsibility. I mean, then you better make
Yeah.
sure the thing hits in a way where it's like, I've never heard anything like this. Like when it hits, you feel no pain, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And a sound system has power, boss. I mean, you know, I get excited talking about sound system, but it's not like you're not asking someone to consider this music. You're taking over space and bodies with the sound, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I could tell when you went away to the UK, what did you go to school for?
Oh, I wasn't. Oh, the UK. That was much later.
Yeah.
I did South African. I went to the School of Asian and African Studies. So study like politics and culture and history, those kind of things, you know.
I could tell in this short conversation that clearly you know something about something just by looking at all of the books behind you and how you're speaking. I said, okay, clearly you understand. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they just hear the music, they decide, hey, I want to be a part of it, and then that's where it ends. They don't go any deeper and say, hey, let me figure out what is this thing really based on. Because what I see what you do too, you use it for a lot of because reggae is based on struggling. And it's like, that's what you use the whole essence for. You bring it to, I know you bring it to a lot of political parties and all of these stuff here now. So it's oppression. Anything that's being oppressed, you figure that, okay, I could somehow be a part of it with this sound system and reggae music.
Well, look, oppression is happening all around us. And if you love reggae music and if you play reggae music, you have to respond to it. You know, I mean, what do you do? That's the world we're living in. I would rather not, you know, honestly. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, it's about figuring out also how does it relate to your life? How does it relate to your cultural context? You know what I mean? Because,
That makes sense. And right now, fast forward 10 years forward, what's the reggae scene like in India right now?
So, I mean, look, we're literally building the scene as we're playing. That's also nice in a way because it means it's not oversaturated and you have to handle it with responsibility, but it means you really have a chance to grow this in a wholesome manner, you know? So there's a couple of things happening. Like there is a reggae festival that happens once a year called Goa Sunsplash, organized by Reggae Rajas, which is in Goa, you know? Then we play some of the big music festivals with the sound system, but apart from that, like where my heart really is at is organizing sound system sessions. So once every 2 months in Delhi, we have a big sound system session where we rent a community center. In the meantime, about 700 people come. We have food there. And I mean, it's like, it's semi-legal, you know, the kind of thing. But it has a liveliness to it. I mean, look, we go in the middle of the city, have a mad sound. We had trouble with police before, of course, but people get it. They give you energy back and give you support back, you know? So those things are growing. Like regular session in Delhi once a year. We drive to the northeast of the country, which is, I'm talking like driving for 5 days, like 3,000 kilometers, you know?
What? Yeah.
Yes, boss. And we go to sometimes go to some remote areas and we go back every year so that you build something with the people, you know, and they get it. And when you come back a second time and a third time, they're like, okay, this is something real, you know?
Clearly. Okay. And how many songs would you say are in sounds or DJ that's playing reggae right now is in India right now?
Quite a few, man. I mean, it's really nice to see it proliferate. Like when we started out, it was just 3-4 people like me, like Rajas, Dr. Dub, you know, and then now more and more kids are DJing reggae music. It's lovely. Like, and even the guys who play bass music, they can't avoid the reggae, you know? They them, it's like you have to pay service to it. You can't just, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, how many now? I can't even tell you anymore how many there are. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, look, it's not a huge number still, like maybe, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, you know, it's not very large. And we're talking about two sound system in the country that, you know, two machines.
Okay, so there's actually, it's you and I guess Reggae Rogers, they also have a sound system?
Yeah, they call it 10,000 lines.
Yeah.
And there are two more that's run partially by people from Italy who come here and spend half of the year here. And they have some Indian crew as well. And then there are some Indian youths who are building sound system in the south of the country.
Yeah. And
in the far northeast, where we visit regularly, they're also starting to build one, you know?
Because they get it. Wow, that's crazy. Your name, Bass Foundation Roots. How do you even come up with that name there?
Well, you know, when I started the drum and bass and dubstep thing, that had 2 Englishmen in it, and that was called Bass Foundation. And at some point, we started cutting dub plates for that sound. And then those guys left. And in any case, I also just wanted to. I felt confident to just play proper reggae, you know, and like I didn't want to play that music anymore. And so then just start Bass Foundational Roots because it kind of from the foundation up, you know, made sense to me. I play a lot of roots music, like I play everything. I play some dancehall as well. I don't play so much the newest of the new music. I may voice them on like a rubber dub rhythm or like 90s dancehall rhythm, like they have more appeal to me by and large, you know.
Yeah, you're right, because I've seen a couple of your sessions, some sessions you do on Facebook, some of them where you guys were actually on the road. And one thing that surprised me to this day is you're still playing vinyl. I didn't see a laptop in your session.
No, man, no laptop, no computer,
only
nothing.
see vinyl. Only vinyl.
Yeah, man. It's just I enjoy it, man. And you communicate that love to the people. If they're seeing reggae music for the first time, you know, they don't want to see somewhere it look like him reading email in the dance. And then, you know what I mean? Like, boss, these are like, man, come on, artifacts that travel from Jamaica to India. And I enjoy playing this way, you know. I enjoy handling the records and handling the vinyl. It's just I never learned how to do the other thing, really. I feel like this is what I love doing, you know. And people relate to that aspect. So, there's more I could say on that.
Continue.
Man, look, boss, honestly, I feel like this MP3 and machine thing, there in many ways that has mashed up the business, you know?
For sure.
Like, you know, I mean, I don't even need to say it. Like, all the record labels shut in Jamaica, the center of power shifts from Jamaica to who knows who streaming platforms. And the sound quality deteriorate too, boss. Like, I think the MP3s, it doesn't sound... this really is the reason why we built the sound system. If you listen to good quality vinyl records for 5 hours and like roots and rocksteady, rubber dub, all of it, it creates a sense of physical well-being in your body. But if you listen to an MP3, after a while you get sonic fatigue, you know? And I think that liveliness and that organicness and the way that people who played this music up until the 90s were masters of the craft, like masters of the audio of it. Jamaica was pioneering things that everyone in the world was copying. You know what I mean?
You understand.
So that is not happening any longer now. You know, now everyone is following and everyone like takes what's given to them. You know what I mean? Like talk to the old selectors. I mean, like Father Festus. They'll figure out to build a hidden reverb into the amp. And then he'll lick it during the dance and it makes this crazy sound and everyone's like, what's happening? Where's this coming from? It's exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
even with some of your live sessions, I see it's like you have, even though you're not into the laptop and stuff, you seem to have these 4 different boxes that do different things like echoes and sound effects and all of these. So instead of having it in a laptop, you still like the original old school style where I have to make this, I go to somebody to make this, and this is what I like.
You find a builder, no? I bet. Man, these things have power. If you listen to a dub siren, which again they pioneered in Jamaica, that thing that rips through the speakers and makes you alert, and everybody now just plays the same kind of thin sounding sample. I mean, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't, you know, no disrespect to anyone. I mean, that's cool. You know, it's just, I try to do it like this. I get joy out of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, let's get into some of your dubs here because I know you only play vinyl. So with your dubs, how do you actually cut your dubs? 'Cause I've seen some of them on 45 too, you know.
Yeah, man, I cut them on 45, and boss, trust me, it's like a thing where first you get the vocals, you arrange them, you have to get them properly mixed and mastered. Then I found now a place in Japan that presses them and sends them here. And from Japan to India, the postage is not so expensive. So it takes a while, like from voicing to holding the tune in your hand, it takes time, you know?
Wow, that's so crazy. And do you actually, a lot of reggae artists actually come to India right now?
Started coming, like thanks to this squad. I mean, look, before also, reggae artists always brought people here. So we had like UK artists like Mr. Williams and those kind of guys were coming from quite early. And then since the Sunsplash, Goa Sunsplash Festival is there, they brought Johnny Osborne, Matt Professor, Anthony B was here.
Okay.
But it just started, you know?
Yeah.
Which actually leads me to what I really want to do is this alternate touring circuit of doing Garrison sound system sessions. I want to start bringing yard people to this, you know? Like, because people will come from yard and be like, wow, like, I didn't know this kind of thing exists here, you know? And they don't want to, you know, I feel like, experience something new and different, not like a club night anywhere in the world, you know?
That makes sense. And when the artists come, do you guys actually cut dubs there, or you guys wait till they go back to Jamaica, wherever they are, to cut dubs?
Now we do 2 things. Look, if an artist is here, of course you try to catch the artist to record dub late, you know what I mean? But really and truly, I mean, being in India, we're really far away, so it works through links, you know.
Yeah.
Like you have links, someone's artist's cousin, someone's studio, and sounds have helped me out, you know. There are a lot of like veteran sounds, a few veteran sounds like Festus, Father Festus from Sir Coxon, and Rory, and a couple of people like that kind of recognized from quite early and just gave me a lot of encouragement and mentorship and be like, okay, I'll link you with this person, he can help you get this artist, and you know.
And then it just keeps going down the road from
and
there.
That gave me an encouragement also, like, all right, you know, so we're doing this thing right and people are giving us respect back, and you know, that encouraged us to work more.
Makes sense. What was the first dub that you actually cut?
So the very first dub I cut was for a sound system that I had when I was a kid, when I was telling you about that time when we started collecting records and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I moved to the Bay Area because my mother was teaching there. I spent 4 years in America, and then I moved back to India like 20 years ago, you know? And there was not so much reggae then there at that time, but I found one Jamaican studio in Oakland.
Okay.
And there was one sound system in Oakland called Zodiac, run by Jamaicans, you know?
Yeah.
So there was one little studio there and one Jamaican artist in all of the Bay Area, it seemed to me. But this man was friends with Frankie Paul, you know? Okay. So somehow the link happened, and then as a 16-year-old, you know, draw some money and take the record there, and you know, so that was the first dub, and that was still like acetate and everything. Yeah. And then after that, you have to add another 20 years until the next dub. I mean, not 20, I'm not that old, like, you know, like whatever, like another 15 years or something. Yeah. When I first moved back to India, I never imagined that I would be running sound system, cutting lots of dub plates, and that this would be the main kind of thing in my life that I'm doing, you know?
Crazy. The reason why I'm bringing that up now is because we know this Sunday here, the big bad quarantine clash with you versus Jamaica from the same place where you actually said you were at for a while, LA.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure if he's from Bay Area, but I definitely know he's from LA. All right. What could we expect this Sunday from Bass Foundation Roots in the quarantine clash?
Well, you know, I've been cutting dub plates for the last 10 years, really. And I've been interested. I follow the clash world, and I've been kind of waiting to just do my thing, you know, and let people know. But then I got more focused on just building things in India, and I was just waiting for when an opportunity comes along and suddenly just shock people, because I know folks don't expect someone from India to have these kind of dub plates, you know. And the way I cut my dubs really is also a thing where I try and cut them in an original way, that you try and contribute something to the tune. Don't just live off the hype of a tune that's already there, or that another sound cut, you know. Yeah. So I try and find some Junjo rhythms or some Treasure Isle or some Jammies rhythm that people don't usually use on dub plate so much, and I try and record, if I can, record more special and you know, have a few sample tunes. So in the very least, you will hear some dub plates, some rhythms and some dub plates you have not heard before, you know?
Yeah, that's what we can look forward to this Sunday here. I'm very excited to really see what you bring to the table, because I want to see how people react to it, even though it's not in real life, it's still virtual. But again, you'll see the chats and you'll see everything going on from there.
Yeah. Man, so I'm curious how people are reacting.
For sure. So you're saying this is actually your first clash?
Well, I mean, in a sense, like as a youth, we had like some little clash when I was like 15. We clashed a song called Blessed Love, which at that time, now it's a big sound and they run like record label in Berlin. But at that time, when we was a kid, everybody just had a couple of records and maybe some two dub plate, you know?
Yeah.
So that was one. And then in India, we did a couple of clash against the other sound system, Reggae Rajas, you know? So we did that, and they were received very well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then the thing was a couple of factors. Like one, the reggae scene was too small, and it was leading to too much like clash vibes. You know what I mean? Like it translated too much into this competitiveness, and somehow that was not, I don't know, that wasn't helpful. And then the second thing is that I went I'm much more serious about cutting clash tunes and cutting dub plate. You know what I mean? So yeah. For me, dub plates are an important part of playing also, not just for clash, because it's kind of like a thing where it reflects your understanding of the music and you know, how you perceive the artists, and how they can hear them on a way in your sound they can't hear them elsewhere. And also, it's an exclusive thing. Like, it's not a thing that you find on the internet and any tune you can get anywhere. It's like you may hear it on a radio show, you may hear it at a session, and you're like, okay, that gives it value, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Have you actually ever been to Jamaica before?
Yes, I've been to Jamaica. We went 4 years ago for the first time, and it was very fortunate because Rory invited us, you know?
Okay.
Like Rory had somehow seen like some video of me and my wife singing, and then he just hit me up on Skype, and he's like, "You have Skype?"
Yeah.
I was like, mad, like Rory, I listened to this man for like 15 years tapes, and
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Yeah, you good, you're going good, like it's cool, it's wicked what you're doing. When are you coming to Jamaica?" And he would just keep asking us, like, "When are you coming to Jamaica?" And then we got the opportunity, because we were invited to do work in New York, and then from there, took a flight, went to JA for the first time, and stayed at Black Dub Studios,
Okay, and what was that experience like actually on the ground in Jamaica cutting dubs? Where
I mean, Baz, it was mad. I mean, look, first of all, it's like Rory's house, artists pass through,
yeah,
So it's like, oh, Bob Andy is just passing through, like Dean Fraser just passed through, like he drove me over to Big Youth and drove me over to Toots' place and recorded tunes. It was wonderful, man. And for me also, listening to reggae music for the decades, to get that kind of thing that you go to Jamaica and people give you a stamp of approval and be like, all right, it's cool. The way you're handling it is cool. It's all right. So, yeah.
Especially coming from somebody like Rory, where Rory's like the boss of all bosses when it comes to that sound system, how he sounded, how he played. Just the whole essence of Stone Love at that time was what Rory brought to the table. And to know that he said, you know what, I like what you're doing, that's a super huge compliment.
Trust me, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's big right there. Well, let's get into some of your singing career before we get you out of here too. So then right now, is the singing group still around, or you guys are more or less focusing on sound system?
Nah, it's a thing where we're really more or less focusing on sound system because there's so many aspects to it. It's like we're promoters, we're organizing shows, tours, and want to start music label also. We do a lot, like organizing these events. It's not just sound system. Like we bring in other artists. We have a bookstore, which I also learned in Jamaica. Like there's a man called iNation that has a bookstore and all the sound systems. So I was like, we need to do this, So that, and then the band is kind of like keeping a band of 8 people. The band was strong for 10 years and it was just hyping. I mean, doing all these shows at all these UK festivals, and then it's just an ego thing. And for me, actually not touring constantly was very important, because when you're touring every weekend, you don't have enough time to build locally. And this thing is something where you can't just show up and play, you need to really build with communities and you need to be grounded, So end of the day, that's just kind of naturally how it worked out, But singing is still happening. I'm still release tunes every now and then with rappers. We have a tune with Sizzla, which I've been sitting on for 10 years, which will come out soon,
So hold on. Why are you sitting on it for so long? Why?
Baz, I mean, I know with music sometimes it's mad how I've been playing it now on dubplate, all right? Yeah. And it's kind of nice because it's like back in the days when people hear a dub for years and wait for it. They're like, oh, what's this tune? Where can I find it? I'm like, you can't find it,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like a thing where I just wanted to do it properly. And, there's a hip-hop label here called Azadi Records that I really like because they also work with community and really trying to bring it to a certain level of expression.
Okay.
But then now I'm thinking maybe we should start a reggae thing, start a reggae label to give it that identity, and that may make more sense. So no rush, sense. You know what I mean? Like in a way now people are ready for it because they're hearing it in the dances, they're hungry for it. People have been asking about it, so maybe now is the time.
That makes sense. Are there any reggae artists that come from India also?
Yes. There's I mean, I would say predominantly hip hop is blowing up in India right now,
Okay.
Huge. Like we have one artist is signed to Mass Appeal. I mean, hundreds of rappers and from the streets. And this is also a different thing from India, that like popular culture, that there's this street culture orientation. And for me, I'm trying to connect the reggae music to this and let them know that, this is where it's based. And so I'm glad I can give people that context. And the hip hop kids are gravitating towards the reggae, and they start listening to the Chronics and the Jesse Royal, and they start singing over hip hop rhythms and reggae rhythms.
Yeah.
And so that's happening. So you have these artists, like hip hop artists, who will sing on reggae rhythms, and then there's a couple of people who are kind of trying the reggae thing a little bit, like doing the patwa thing. Not many. I mean, I would still say like 1 or 2.
Okay. So it's coming along. It's being built.
It's coming along. I mean, look, for me, honestly, I'm also trying to link it to Indian singing traditions, like because the roots music comes from a certain place. So it makes the most sense for me to look at where is that place in India. And we have tons of folk singers who are raw and who speak truth and who are fire, So I go to them. I start playing the reggae rhythms.
Yeah.
And reggae is so vast that you'll find something that they're like, wow. Like suddenly it might be some old folk singer and he'll hear Dennis Brown Westbound Train and be like, man, the song connect, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing I'm also doing to kind of, I don't know, it helps to make it connect because then it builds a bridge. People hear that song if they're from that area, and then they hear a Jamaican song and it makes them feel like, all right, you know, like they make a connection, you know?
That totally makes sense. Last question before we go. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, okay? We're in Toronto, Canada right now. What's the vibe like right now in India, especially where you are right now?
It's like, you know, it's honestly, it's terrifying. Like for me personally, things are fine. Things are good. You know, I live in a joint family setup. We have a garden. We have a garden space. We have food and shelter. You know, we're good. We're nourishing our minds and body. We're all right, and we're not immediately threatened existentially, like you're going to lose your flat or your business. You know, but it's very draconian here. Like you step on the road, police will first hit you with a baton and then be like, where are you going?
Listen, I seen that and I thought it was a joke, but I guess
no,
it's
man.
not.
You know, boss, that's the direction India has been going, and it's scary. And honestly, people are hungry. Like millions of people suddenly don't food, no place to go. They're walking home. They're going by foot, traveling 100 kilometers. One 12-year-old girl died, boss.
Yeah.
She walked for 3 days and then 12 years old, but 10 kilometers before reaching home, she passed. So,
Crazy.
I mean, boss, you know, if you ask me, I have to speak on these things. That's terrible, terrible, terrible. I mean, I'm glad it's not business as usual because the business as usual was not right, you know?
Yeah.
But let's see what happens now after. We'll get our act together, or whether it'll be more of the same, or whether it'll be more of the worst parts of the same, you know?
No, it's crazy. And are you guys in lockdown and quarantine right now, or what's going on out there?
Man, full lockdown. Like you don't step out of the house. You step out of the house to buy groceries, and even that you do as little as possible. And some people, like we have a garden space. Some people are locked into flats and can't step out. They must be losing it. And sometimes here you have like 10 people to a flat, no?
Wow.
So it's really rough. I think it might be really in the future, like the virus is going to be the smallest of our problems in the near future, you know?
If this continues, you're right. And when are you guys supposed to come off of lockdown or quarantine?
I mean, officially, they're saying they'll ease things up May 3rd, you know?
May 3rd. Okay.
So they'll ease up some things. They'll ease up some things, you know, where the schools will open again. I mean, right now, no idea. Nobody knows. It's uncertainty. Nobody knows what will come, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Hopefully this gets over soon and we could get back to the life, not even as we know it, but a new form of life, because a lot of stuff are changing and are going to be changed right now.
Yes.
Any words for John Mikey right now for the quarantine class before I get you out of here? And also leave your contact.
John Mikey, all I want to say is don't take it lightly. You know, just you come from India. It's not like we don't know tune. And you don't want to buck up against some wild Indians, you know?
I heard you guys don't play for trophies, you play for scalps.
Oh, but I just
Leave your contacts where people can check out what you have going on.
Yes, cool. What, just in the chat or?
No, just tell them where they can.
Oh yeah, cool. So on Instagram it's at Delhi Sultanate. You guys will have to find out the spelling. Delhi Sultanate, yeah. That's at Delhi Sultanate on Instagram, and on Facebook it's BFR Sound System. That's BFR Sound System. You'll find it.
Yeah. No, definitely, boss. It's been an amazing talk, and I've learned a lot, especially right now. I'm sitting in Toronto. You're in what part of India are you in?
We're in New Delhi.
You're in New Delhi, and look, we communicate right here with a computer.
It's mad, bro. It's completely crazy. Like, India to Jamaica to Toronto. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. It's mad, but we're here, you know?
So it's almost like the coronavirus was almost like a slight blessing in disguise, because it gave a lot of us an opportunity to connect with a lot of people that we had no idea even exist or wasn't even on our radar.
True.
You understand? Boss, thank you so very much. Looking forward to Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yes, boss.
Let's see what goes on there. Hopefully you win it so we can sit down and have a congratulation interview after the fact. All right? Big up yourself. Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Muscle, and this has been another Two Line Music Hut's Entertainment Report podcast, and we are out. This podcast is brought to you by www.twolinesmusichut.com.